friends, welcome to Coding Host YouTube channel. In this video, I will explain you a program find factorial using recursion. So we know that how to find factorial using loops. But in this video, I will explain you how we will find the factorial using recursion. So first, I will make a method here, public static, and the return type of this method will be int, because after calculating the factorial, it will return that value to the main method, and the name of this method will be find factorial. So find factorial in which number int n. Before writing the body of this method, first I will call this method in our main method. So find factorial, and in which we are passing 5, and I will also print this result. So system.out.println. So after getting the factorial from the factorial method, we will print that value. So now we will write the body of this method. So I will take a variable here int fact. So in this fact variable, what I will do is I will store the current value of n, and after that I will call this method again find factorial, and this time I will pass here n minus 1, and we know that when we are calling this method, it will return as a value. So what I will do is return value which we are getting from this method here. So I will multiply that value in this fact variable, and after that we will return this fact variable. But you can see that when this method is calling itself, it is decreasing the value of this number, but we have to stop somewhere. So we also have to write a base case here, so it will not go in the negative values. I will write a if statement here. If n equal to 1, then we will return 1. Now let's run this program. So you can see that in the output we are getting 120. So factorial of 5 is 120. So now let's see how this program is working. So you can see that we have written a method for finding the factorial, and in this method right now we are passing here 5. From this video I will explain you how recursive functions actually get memory. So methods get memory in the stack. So I will make here a stack. If you don't know stack, so stack is like a pile of a plates. Suppose we have first plate here, then on the top of this first plate we can place the second plate, then on the top of the second plate we can place the third plate. But suppose if you want to take the first plate, then you have to remove this both plates. First you have to remove the plate number 3, and then you have to remove plate number 2. Only then you can reach to plate number 1, because they are enclosed in a structure like this. So if you have to access something which is in the lower part of the stack, so first you have to remove the elements which are present in the top of the stack. Only then you can access the lower values in the stack. So you can see that in the main method we are calling this find factorial method with value 5. So here in the stack, this method will get memory, and right now we are calling this method for the value of 5. So when the value of n is 5, first you can see we are checking if n equal to 1. No, value of n is 5, so this if statement will not execute. So I will write here line numbers. This is line number 1, 2 and 3. For this if statement I will not write any line number, because this if statement will only get executed in the last. So when the value of n is 5, so this first line has executed. We have stored the current value of n in the fact variable. Then the second line will execute, and when the second line will execute, we will call this method again for the value of n minus 1. After that, in the top of the stack, again this method will get memory factorial, and we are passing here n minus 1. So 5 minus 1 will become 4. So this time value of n is 4. After that, so when the value of n is 4, what will happen? This if statement will not execute, then this first line will execute, and it will make a fact variable in which it will store the current value of n, which is 4. So you can see that when the value of n is 4, this first line has executed, and we have stored the 4 in the fact variable, and then second line will execute. So when the second line will execute, this method will call itself again with the value of n minus 1. So now on the top of the stack it will again allocate memory. So factorial, and 4 minus 1 is 3. So now it is calling itself for the value of 3. So when the value of n is 3, this if statement is not going to execute, then this first line will execute, and it will make a fact variable, and in this fact variable it will store the current value of n. So n is 3. So you can see that when the value of n is 3, this first line has executed, then the second line will execute, and this method will call itself for n minus 1. So now on the top of the stack, again we will call this method for value 2, and when the value of n is 2, first line will execute. So it will make a fact variable and it will store the current value of n, which is 2. So you can see that when the value of n is 2, this first line has executed, then the second line will also execute, and it will call this method again for the value n minus 1. So now on the top of the stack, again this method will get memory, and this time we have 1 here, factorial 1. So when the value of n is 1, you can see that this if statement will execute and it will return 1. So it will return this 1 to the method where value of n is 2. So it will send this value here. So you can see that at this method, so when the value of n was 2, we has executed first line and the second line. So when the second line has executed, so we have received 1 as the return value from the previous method. So what will happen, we will multiply this 1 with the current value of fact. So you can see here current value of fact is 2. 2 into 1 will become 2, and it will get stored back in the fact variable. So fact variable still have 2. Then this third line will execute, and it will return this fact value to the method where value of n is 3. So it will return this value here. And one more thing I forgot here to tell you, that every time when we get any return value from a method, so that method will be removed from the stack. So this factorial method for n equal to 1, so after returning 1, it will get removed from the stack. Then factorial 2, so when the value of n is 2, we have received fact equal to 2 as a returned value. So after returning the value, this method will also get removed. So memory for this method will also get removed from the stack. So we know that from the last method we have received 2. So that 2 we will multiply in the current fact value. So 3 into 2, so it is equal to 6. So now in the fact variable we will get 6. After that this third line will execute. So when this third line will execute, it will return this value to this method where value of n is 4. So it will return this value 6 here, and after that memory for this method will also get removed from the stack. So we know that from the last method we have received 6. So we will multiply that 6 with the current value of fact, which is 4. So 4 into 6 will become 24. So now new value of this fact variable is 24. So now this third line will execute when the value of n is 4, and it will return this value 24 to the method where value of n is 5, and then this method will get removed from the stack, and we have received 24 from the last method. So 24 will get multiplied with this 5. So 5 into 24, so it is equal to 120. So the value of fact will become 120 now, and after that this third line will execute. So when this third line will execute, it will return this 120 value where. So you can see that our main method has called this method for the value of 5. So this 120 value we will get here in the main method, and after that this value will be printed in the output. So you can see this is how we can calculate factorial using recursion. Thanks for watching.